Greetings, everyone. We're here this evening with none other than the legendary one and only AXEL HERMANN, who most of you might know from album covers by bands like Asphyx, Sodom, Grave, Moonspell, Iced Earth, Demolition Hammer, and the list goes on. AXEL, how are you?
Hey, how are you? Nice for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, no, everything's fine. It's cool. It's an honor to have you on the show. And I think it would be nice to expose your, not that you need that much exposure, but also outside of Germany, get people to get familiar with you and know you. So
yeah, let's have a try.
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
So tell us, AXEL, what started your life as an illustrator, as a painter,
So the intro for that came when I was visiting the local art school here in Dortmund. I wanted to study design.
Okay.
And then one of my classmates, like second row behind me, he drew the first album cover for a band called Despair, which was the first Central Media release.
Okay.
Right. So he did that one, and I was a little bit jealous, and talked to him and get me an appointment with Robert Kampf, who was the owner of the label at that time. And of course, the label just started, and I got my chance and drew one of the first artworks. There was a 7-inch cover called Nothing But the Truth was the album cover. It Hurts was a single done in inks and watercolors, really comic-like, friendly, not the stuff I progressed to later on. So that's what that came about, just by coincidence and being a little bit more forceful in achieving the goal,
sometimes you have to push.
Yeah, sometimes you do.
Wow, but your resume reads like, obviously you got a lot of work through Century Media then, who must have been very happy with your work. And
right.
Like I said, for all the listeners and viewers, I'll include all AXEL's links below in the video, so you can have a peep which albums he's actually worked for. There's also a lot of my favorite cover artworks out there. Sodom, M16, wow, the early Grave stuff, Morgoth, and also some bands that I did not know that you did, like edguy, you did some stuff. And
yeah, sometimes you stray a little bit,
Yes.
And, apply different techniques, and you have to know the image or the core of the band, and mostly being known for a little bit more sinister artworks, so to speak, drifting off into the comic realm again, and doing a little bit like a persiflage on Manowar or Kiss Destroyer artworks. And that was kind of fun too, but a little bit rare, most of the stuff is like guts and gore.
Guts and gore, that's what the people want, yeah. But I think it's nice because it shows that you have a variety of styles that you can do,
Thank you.
And, it's sometimes I think, I like those cover artworks, but it's a pity that people or that musicians often want the guts and gore.
Yeah, it depends on the band you work for. Trying apply like a more positive vibe to an asphyx cover. Would work that way.
No.
And it's cool to apply your technical abilities to the more sinister side. It's always part of yourself,
Yes.
And if it's like stuff or topics like depression or suicidal tendencies and whatever, like the Pit.
Yes.
It's nice to go explore that way in a artistic way, and not drifting off into something really dangerous.
Yes.
We all went a little bit more to the far side, maybe here and there, concerts and party and whatever. But to have it in that kind of realm, it's kind of cool, and it's always safe, and it's constructive, you have to something, you change something sinister, a thought or a feeling, or in the case, the music of a band, you know, like finding the chord. That's my point of view, which I always try to apply. You know, it's just that one riff, that one chord, or a growl, or whatever it may be. You know, like it's a V card for the band. You know, you're standing in front of in a record store, don't know the band, and if you get caught off by the image of the cover artwork, and simultaneously, maybe, and that's the more perfect point, know by coincidence what's the band is all about, you know.
Yes.
And to achieve that point and visualize that, that's really one of the greatest things I ever did.
That's probably the biggest compliment you can get, is if a fan doesn't know the band and they grab the record because of your artwork. You know, that's
like we all did. You know,
mehr Applaus geht ja.
Yeah.
So, but how does it work? Does Martin van Drunen give you the album, or does he just tell you the title is Necroceros?
Yeah, and for that one, like it's we have a made up title, you know, and so we have a working relationship for the last 30 plus years, you know, and being like still an underground artist, right? Working in an extreme field of music, that's not that common, you know. Maybe a certain point, a certain argument is, of course, having started in the late 80s, right? And there was like Seagrave, Sebastian Krüger, Marshall, of course, and then there was me, like the new guy, you know, standing and doing his first stuff at the age of 21.
Amazing.
You know? Apply that today, because despite whatever having the internet and far more reach to get really good like artists, you know, if you see,
yes, definitely,
it's brilliant. So I don't have any problems with that. So I like watching that and following different artists, and now see the progression in me, and that's really great. But if I would start today, it might turn out totally different. You know?
I can imagine it must be harder to start today, I think. Tougher,
yeah, it is.
Because there's so many out there.
There's so many out there, and just it, like waters down a bit of the prices, you know, like getting a fee for an artwork.
Definitely.
I don't know. And it's so much bands and so more whatever artists. Like for me, was at a certain point I kind of dropped out a little bit. Like it was family issues and like topics to attend to.
Yes.
And so you can always rely on Kiss, Wasp, and Exodus, for example. And I was a little bit at a certain point. I felt like I had I've heard it all before, you know. That might be coming with age, and now it's like having a little gas between that. And I really appreciate, like, it's like a new scene for me, and it's from a different point of view now.
Yes.
And I'm happy that the scene is still alive and well, and whatever in regards to the last 2 years, it could have turned out totally different.
Yes,
know?
Absolutely.
It might do in whatever a couple of years. It's not getting lighter, you know. Yeah. But yeah, so the cliche sense like metal will always prevail might be true at the end. You know?
Yes, after all, I think so.
We can't discuss how, but I like that. I like that a lot. Still, the scene is still alive, and so am I.
That's good. That's good to hear. Is there anyone? I'm not talking about your peers. Your like Seagrave, Repka. No, but is there a classic artist that you feel inspired you in some way?
Oh, there was a lot when I started. Far before I even considered being a cover artist for record covers, you know, like Michelangelo was always a a great inspiration. It's like perfection in anatomy and
Yes.
style, whatever. So that's one of that one is still on my bucket list, like visiting the 16th chapel and just look at the roof, for like 6 hours straight.
That's
right?
That's mastery.
Yeah, to the whatever highest point.
Yeah.
Like Hieronymus Bosch, for example.
Oh yes, I wanted to mention him just now. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I
even went. I never seen any original of him in a museum or anything. That would be something I really love to do.
Yes. Yes.
I nearly got thrown out of an exhibition in England, in London. I've been there once. I don't know what it was. Surrealistic painter. I don't know. And I like to watch the originals, like watching close up. Seeing the layers of color being applied. So that's the best thing you can learn, right? I was laying over the
railing.
And after like half an hour being told I shouldn't do that, I had a bodyguard for the rest of the day. But that's what would do, like at the Bosch exhibition or whatever. That would be totally cool. But we see. Maybe Giger, of course.
Giger, of course.
Inspiration and a direct link when I started Morgoth, for example. They at that point I was still living at my parents' house in the cellar, black Kiss records on the other half, and the other was like turnaround crosses, black fur, and it was totally black painted walls and stuff like that. And they brought like these huge Giger books that were published in the 80s. You remember that one,
Yes,
like
yes.
The demon and the
amazing,
female on
amazing.
I still have that, and they brought them and showed me whatever different artworks, Giger artworks, and how to apply to the new artwork, and that was like turned out to be Resurrection Absurd. And I never had tried airbrush before. So my father was a designer as well, but totally different field. And he had like an really old airbrush set from the 60s. It was not an air compressor. It was like a membrane with a little propeller in it. It was like a typewriter. You turn it on. It was like half an hour. You place it on the right side, and after half an hour, it was on the left side. And you have to turn it back, and a little small airbrush piston, and that was learning on the job.
Yes,
all the first like Resurrection Absurd and Eternal Fall were my first ever airbrush paintings, done in my children's room and in the cellar.
Amazing. Yes, well, I have those on vinyl sitting here, so
good.
Really love those. Awesome stuff. I was amazed to see that you were involved with Total Thrash.
Yes, I was.
Documentary coming out. I think it's still coming out, or is it already out? Or it has had premiere.
I think it came out simultaneously to the movie release, so they were selling like DVDs or Blu-ray editions on the different locations. So I visited the premiere in Essen. I've been there. It was like a sold out show. So the Daniel must be really happy, and he's got 30 dates to go.
Yes.
The reason it's all nearly sold out, or again really successful. So really happy for him. Yeah, I did that movie poster. One of my still more friendly artworks.
Yes, thrashy.
Yeah, because the concept. So we were before we even talked about the concept, we were on the same page for that. The obvious thing would have been to draw a typical thrash metal cover. Like some rebellious kid, whatever, fighting against whatever. And this time it's a more peaceful painting. It's showing a guy or a kid like being like standing in the front of that scene, and choosing his way, like visiting a record store, playing in a band, visiting concerts, getting into the party life, whatever. And like a still painting. I wasn't sure about it. If it's not too friendly, because what if you would have expected is like whatever, a kid fist raiding here with some kind of aggression, you know. So there's a lot of stuff happening around it, like all the main characters, creator, Sodom, and even destruction were placed in there twice. You know, like the fireball, it's a destruction skull, but hidden in plain sight, and the Mad Butcher on
of course
on the rooftop. So my sister called me. She says, "Oh, it's totally cool, so friendly, not like the stuff you're doing all this." And here the guy, the board guys, the colors are so cool. And I said, like, you know, like he's got it himself, and then he's curling sausages out of his entrails. And oh, but the colors are so cool.
Yes,
and that was that.
Well, I think very, very cool artwork. I'm so looking forward to seeing the docu, and I'm so glad it's actually being made, or it has been made. And I think we live in amazing times. If you think back, what did we have in the 80s or even 90s? I think the last few years, so much more is being documented and done in terms of video and multimedia and everything.
Books, whatever,
and yes, so it gets documented far much more. And speaking of which, you've also done artwork for a book called Todessehnsucht by Andreas Herdkorn.
Yeah, I did that one. Maybe you can see the original. It's like hanging over there behind my back on the.
Yes,
it must be on the left for you. That was fun to do because it documents the time span in which I started, you know.
Yes.
And he wanted to have a cover especially made in the old techniques, like for example, like asphyx crushed the cenotaph, you know, which I did like in one night, and it was totally on the go, and didn't know what it would turn out. And it was nice to revisit that. But it's, you know, different times. So it was like visiting, watching all the picture books from the past. You know, it was a one-time thing. You know, and what is really, really fun to do. I spent a couple of weeks on it, really on the old stuff. Sorry, flies. I even dusted off my airbrush set, which I hadn't used like since 2004, when I did like. The Chalice of Ages. What's the band called? It's a German guy living in the States. You know, death metal artwork. You can skip that out. Ich habe die Band vergessen. Chalice of Ages hieß die Band. Hieß die Platte.
Chalice of Ages.
The Chalice of Ages hieß die Platte.
Oh nee, sag
meine Güte.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Ganz kleiner Oldschool-Band aus England. Der Typ, Götz heißt er auch, ist ein Deutscher, ein 2-Meter-Typ und lebt seit Ewigkeiten in Amiland. Und der hatte mal angefragt, und da habe ich das letzte Mal halt Airbrush verwendet. Ne? Und jetzt habe ich den Kram halt aus der Ecke gepackt und so richtig schön entstaubt und habe dann irgendwie das Cover gezeichnet. Ne? Können wir gerne noch mal einen Satz wiederholen nachher.
But it's not a Mem von Stein?
No.
No. Okay. Because he lives in the US. So. Ja.
Jetzt, Verbindung ist gerade schlecht. Ist das bei dir okay?
Ein bisschen wackelig, aber kommt
wieder. Hat gerade gewackelt, ne?
Ja. Aber finde ich jetzt nicht weiter schlimm. Yes, so looking back, I'm a graphic designer, so I have also look. I'm very design affine. I have an affinity for artworks, and over time you could really see. I think in the 80s you still had, like you said, airbrush. You had a lot of photo montages. If you think of all the old Scorpions covers, you had. And I think in the 90s there was this strong rising of Photoshop artworks.
Oh yeah,
very much. Did you ever Did you ever touch Photoshop, or was it no for you?
Later on. So nowadays it's like there was a phase where it was like 90% of the stuff I was doing, but Photoshop came up, as I recall, 95, 96, something like that.
Yeah.
And maybe a little before that, but that's when I got attended to it. And I skipped that train, and there was a big mistake, you know. And first thing what's like morgoth, you know, this little insect or bacteria on the reddish background in the morgoth cover embossed.
Yes. Yeah. Odium.
That was Odium? All right.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then at that time I was out of the game for a while, you know, because everybody was doing it.
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Like everybody else, like Kruger and I guess Marshall still got to it. And then there's one American artist who got into the game with Photoshop and is still one of the best artists around, like Travis Smith.
Travis Smith, exactly. You know, I wanted to say that. Yeah.
That's one of the few who's being there, present, and not doing less or whatever. It just betters himself. He has the same outputs before.
Yes, but his artwork was always stylish. It wasn't tacky or like
really stylish. But it's always a mixture of digital manipulation. Now nobody's added really whatever drawing styles to it, which is doing like a couple of years now. So in the past, it was totally digital. You know?
Yes. And
it's cool to see whatever to add that the flavor, that part to it. You know, gives it even a bit more credibility.
Yeah, I think Photoshop is always a tool. You know,
it is a tool.
It's a tool, but Photoshop should not design for you. You know.
No. That's my point.
So I think if you take photos, real photos, and you put it all together in Photoshop and do something with it, then
I know
that's legit. I think
because Photoshop, I never manipulate stock photos or whatever, or something. Might be true, whatever, if you do a booklet design, whatever, a layout, you know.
Yeah.
But for an artwork, is always painting, you know. But Photoshop can be a trap as well, you know.
Yes,
it's an advantage in this trap as well, because if you rely on technique on that entirely, it really invites you to cheat in a verse sense.
And I think it always has a specific look automatically. You know, it doesn't.
Yeah, it depends on how you use it. So I think in the last couple of years, there's a lot of artists coming from the gaming industry. I think just by the style of the artworks.
Yeah.
No, it's you see it's Photoshop, you see or Painter or whatever you want to Procreate nowadays. So I use that as well. But I always paint. It's always like a white canvas, and I paint. I never use filters or any layers. Maybe or two, and choose the best one in the end. But it's always like real painting. Otherwise, you don't have a real physical reference.
Yes.
You know, in the end, is nothing there. Yep. You know, if you lose your files, you're done. You know, like the old stuff I did. Even if I accept one or two pieces in the last 2 years, I even apply breakdowns on a paper. You know, with pencils, with inks, so that I have a real, even if it's just for the start as a breakdown, you have a file, a physical reference.
Yes.
Yeah, right. But if you want to color it in Photoshop, maybe it's cool, but you still have got something, you know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's really not there. It serves its purpose, you know. And now retreating to the argument is that there's so much artists and so many bands and so less space to whatever sell your artworks and get known, you know. Prices apply to that as well.
Yes.
And I can fully understand to rely on digital painting because it's much more faster. You know, for example, what you get for, or maybe a newcomer gets for an even digital drawn artwork cover as a fee. I spend on painting materials to get the original starting. You know, that's a little different. So I'm not that active as I was in the 90s, and up to whatever 2008 and 2013, I published the book, and that for me was like a visible closing of a chapter, you know.
Okay.
And all this is now like in the bonus program, so to speak, you know. And I would like to do something really cool that is paid well, at least a bit, and to do something really good, and not being a stock artist and have to do like to get 10 covers in a month ready to pay my bills, right?
That's very disheartening, eh?
Yeah, but that's the game, you know.
That is the game. I can feel it from a graphic designer's point of view. Just an example, the other day somebody asked me to quote on they have an old logo, they want to take that logo and transport it into the modern.
Yeah.
Also
right.
Not a new design, but an evolution.
Yeah.
So I quoted, because I could sort of estimate that it wouldn't take me that long. It wasn't that complicated. So I quoted something like 300 euros. And, and the reaction was like, okay, yeah, well, yeah, we'll call you, you know, we'll call you. And then you notice, you see so many websites up like Fiverr and the stuff where people can actually buy logos for $25. And that's really killing the market.
Yeah, it got really fragmented, you know. It's interesting to see or to watch how it will evolve, and if there's going to be another huge band on the scale like of Maiden, Priest, Kiss, or whatever, but different times. So a few bands from the 70s, you know, and now it's like 300 releases every month. But that's a guess, you know, just thinking in cliches, you know. So how do you get known? Or is it like I don't know? I don't have the insights anymore. That bands, and that's maybe full circle to the late 80s when guys like Robert started their own label because they weren't pleased with the Gott, Alter, bin ich scheiße geworden. Wahnsinn. Ich mühe mir einen ab. Wie hieß denn? Also weißt du, die Grundvoraussetzungen waren ja da vielleicht damals gleich, nur es waren halt weniger Leute, die sich dann mehr Marktfläche geteilt haben. Ne? Und that's the discussion, if the 90s were great or not. I think they were, but that was the start in the mid-90s where it all started to getting fragmented, you know. That started with different styles, then it was like rap metal, new metal, that came later, and to label a band and the style they're playing, you know, putting a stamp on it, and that became a necessity in the mid-90s, I guess. First, it was called heavy metal.
Yes.
No.
And then more fragmented.
It became different categories, just to put yourself ahead of the the competition, you know. And that went further on and further on. And then like things like downloading files and whatever. And that was all 90s, you know.
Correct.
For me, it was great. So there was so many new styles and bands, and I was in it, you know. When I was listening to bands before you, I'm a huge Kiss fan, so you went to every record fair and trying to get some Kiss bootleg you heard about somewhere. it was all a huge mystery, you know. And now it's all available any
Now you
second.
can get everything. Yeah,
I know. And in the past, it was like, oh, you know, I got a VHS like from 1974 and paid like 80 D-marks for that.
No, that was still magic. No, but I know exactly what you mean. There was magic. There was. I used to stare at my album covers for hours and study them, and you know, like the artist that made the first impression on me was obviously, and I think that's the case for many metalheads, is Iron Maiden.
Derek Riggs.
And you know, you look for all the little Iron Maiden signs and the cat, and you know, and the best cover was probably Somewhere in Time, and it's like, whoa, you know. But now it's so frightening now. With vinyl is a little bit back, you know, it's come back, but now they announce that the CD might just be disappearing, and you know, then I think, what will the future be like? Will it just be this little cover art on Spotify and
maybe? But maybe it's like,
and I guess it will always come on a shirt. Yeah, but you know,
when we're having concerts, you know.
Yes,
Let's see what time will bring, you know.
Yeah.
Pardon me?
That is the bread and butter for bands, you know, the concert.
Yeah, you make a record so you can tour. So in the past, it was the other way around, you know.
And then you get a Spotify payment every year of $5.
Yeah, but that's well earned. So other artists get less.
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know, but in regards to what the future might bring for like cover artists, or how is it presented? Maybe that they're going to be, when they will do the vinyl some packages where the digital artwork is like animated, or in whatever you can participate or change it yourself or whatever.
Yes.
Right. That would be growth, or otherwise it's going to be restricted to a certain amount of vinyl sales, you know, which is going to be a hobby and a niche, you know, but doesn't make a living.
Yes, one thing that I could see happening more and more is obviously when the new album comes out, you get the single from the album, and you have a lyric video where the artwork moves. It's all After Effects, no?
That's After Effects. I'm trying to get my hand in there, but it's kind of difficult, time-wise.
Yes, it's After Effects is huge. It's if people think Photoshop is Photoshop is so complex, and Photoshop, there are so many ways to roam in Photoshop.
I know.
And After Effects is like 10 times that.
I have the basic book here. It's like 1,000 pages, just for the basic terms, the basic stuff, you know. But I guess choose your detail you wanna work on or apply to, and read that and use it as a library, and then trying to read the thing from start to finish, and then start doing anything. You know, like learning a job. Otherwise, it's disheartening, I guess.
Yes.
Because I'm not wanting to turn pro with the After Effects or something like that, but it's really something I would love to apply even on an exhibition. So I'm a bit more advanced in Premiere.
Okay.
You know, and we had a plan to have me as a solo exhibition on the Rock Hard Festival.
Oh, nice.
And then Corona, you know, and then I worked on a couple of making of. So I have some of my artworks. I filmed the process with the real camera, and otherwise I had like stills saved, you know, like 50, 60 files for showing progress, right? And have that animated, and little particles flying over there, which took me a long time to figure out.
Yeah,
you know, so it doesn't look stupid, and have it a little bit more dynamically, having just not having blended one picture over the other. That gets boring.
Yeah.
You know, but that added to the main artworks hanging somewhere. It's a nice addition, and you involve the audience a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right. That's a sad thing comparing to music, movie gets you whatever gets you going or participating. You can only stand as much in front of a painting, or you climb over the fence as I did, But usually it's aesthetic art, It's not something gets you involved, but in symbiosis with a record, that's perfect.
Yes.
No,
but I think metal fans are so loyal in that sense, and they're so interested in that field. And I just saw, well, he's not doing making ofs really, but he's starting to put stuff on, and that's Claudio Bergamin. He did the last Judas Priest album, but then I thought it would be awesome if an artist actually, if you filmed, say you now did Necrosaurus and you filmed it from start to finish, and you post that and have your YouTube channel,
I did a bit, yeah. So I have like 15 or 16 hours of film material.
Oh, that's awesome. I want to post that below.
Yeah, I can send some stuff, or even if you want to mix this interview with some of the artworks I did.
I would love to.
I can send you files. So just to line it up a little bit more. Yeah, I filmed the process of Necrosaurus for a long time, and then I reviewed all the material, and on a third of it is like the camera was placed not that optimal, I would say. So it's a couple of hours just with only the back of my head. It's all hair, and a pencil here and there. It's nothing,
You need a camera crew.
But I got a. I know. So I'm not the guy who has that much camera material here, and it's not on a professional level. I'm just doing it mainly for myself.
Yeah, of course.
Right, to have something to look back on, or maybe use it for furthermore like exhibition style or bits and pieces for anything, right?
Okay.
Or just provide you with your bits in it.
That would be awesome. I would love to incorporate that.
Yeah. I can send you whatever files. So just give me the pixel frames, and apply something.
Definitely. It's stunning. Cool. Wow. Okay, that covers most of my questions. I think I've got one more question for you.
Okay.
If you could pick one band and to be invited to do their next album cover, who would it be?
I would say Priest. I was invited twice and I fucked it up twice.
Are you being too hard on yourself?
No, I fucked up. Fucking up means sending the wrong picture, like the first record with Ripper owns.
Okay, Jagulator.
And I handed in because it came about because I did send a sampler for Central Media. Did the artwork, the Judas Priest sampler. You remember that one? Was
yes, like Saxon Metalworks or something. Yeah. No, you're right.
A tribute sampler published on Central Media.
A tribute to Judas Priest, yeah.
Really, right. And I did the artwork for that one.
That was an amazing cover. You had the razor blade in the eyes, and
like Defenders of the Faith is still by far my favorite Judas Priest album, and the cover artwork as well. Like it's timeless, but also it's like 80s pinball design, bubblegum a little bit more, but at that time it was totally tough.
Pop art.
Pop art. That's my favorite heavy metal in exclamation mark heavy metal artwork of all time.
Yes.
And the record as well. Because the perfect symbiosis with the artwork and music as well. You know what you get just by looking at it.
Absolutely, I agree.
Makes perfect sense, and it's even better than the artwork for Screaming for Vengeance. That's the same discussion. It's Priest or Maiden, which I personally don't give a fuck about. the discussion, not the bands, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really, since I'm such a huge fan of the artwork, I try to redo it in that style, which they didn't want at that time. You know, I still got the sketches, and I got invited 2 times, and I fucked it up twice.
Yeah,
I'm so much into this phase of the band that I wanted to have my personal Defenders of the Face album, which wasn't maybe a good thought strategically. Das schneidest du raus.
Strategically, ja.
Das wird immer schlimmer. Egal.
No worries.
Okay. So that would be having another chance at that one would be great. So since they're going back to their classic times, and if you see the artwork of Firepower, you know, it's the record is for some old dudes like
amazing.
I compare it to the later Johnny Cash albums, you know, like getting out and surprising everybody.
Yes.
You know, surprising everybody and like knocking them out of their feet with such a great record, and the cover speaks that, you know.
Yeah, I think that happened because Richie Faulkner, I think, knows Claudia Bergerman, so there was also the connection there. So
yeah, maybe not. So I had my chances, you know.
Yeah,
no hard feelings.
I think there's a lot of good artworks still coming your way, and I'm sure of that.
I guess, yeah, that will be. We hope so.
Axel, it's been amazing chatting. Nice to have you on the show.
Pipeline, 1 or 2. Thank you for having me.
For everybody that's watching, by the way, I'm going to include all Axel's links below the video, so to his homepage, and if there's any video material, we can see if we can incorporate that maybe, but we will sort that out. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye.